week's episode of Naruto Shippuden, we are only a mere 11 days away from Naruto and Hinata's wedding. And in this week's episode, Shino and Kiba go on a grand adventure to get the perfect wedding gift for Naruto and Hinata. This week's episode was really fantastic in my opinion. What I loved most about it is that we finally had two characters who were going out of their way to do something nice for Hinata. Because, of course, they were her teammates after all. This episode was also quite fascinating because it focused a lot on the character of Shino, who I think is a criminally underplayed character from the series. He seems to be going through some sort of like weird midlife crisis where he realizes that Hinata's about to get married, she's not going to be able to hang out with both Shino and Kiba anymore, so he's trying to basically come to terms with the fact that he's having these doubts about what's going to happen in the future. He's always sort of planned for Team 8 to always be around and be together at all times, but the characters are growing up. They're having families. They're becoming adults. And that's something that's going to be really hard for Shino to transition into. However, it's something that he does manage to overcome in this episode when both he and Kiba go on this grand journey to find this mystical honey wine, which is produced by this one bug user ninja who resides in this like weird mysterious bamboo forest, which is all just a big clever metaphor for Shino letting go of his doubts so that he can move on as an adult and help out his friend Hinata at her wedding. However, the visuals of this episode I thought were pretty damn great, especially the design of this one bug user who uses these yellow jackets which actually cover most of his entire body, almost like this weird living bug armor. He has a face that you can't see which is obscured by a mask, and he quite literally has a bumblebee's ass. I was sort of hoping that there was going to be a battle scene between this guy and Shino, but apparently this guy is not really much of a threat. When he actually tries to attack Shino with one of his bugs, it doesn't do anything, because Shino himself is immune to some pretty incredible poisons. It's something that he's sort of like practiced over the years in perfecting his bug-style jutsus. Most of the episode is dedicated to watching Shino walk around this mysterious bamboo forest and try to escape from it. Apparently when you go in there, if you have doubts, you're going to be stuck in there forever. And that's what the B guy is basically trying to get into his head a little bit. He's like, it's okay to have doubts. It's okay to do these things. You can stay here forever and constantly doubt yourself. This is something that Shino eventually is going to have to conquer for himself, which of course he does. He gets the honey wine, and it's a very satisfying end to this week's episode. So, what's the rundown on this week's episode of Naruto Shippuden? It's really weird to know that we're only a couple of episodes away from the very end of the series. It's really not ending because we are getting the Boruto anime right after this and we're going to be able to see these characters again, but this is sort of like the final end for all of the main characters from the original series, and I'm glad that these last couple of episodes have been devoted to the side characters of Naruto, who I feel have always been very important to the series and always underused a lot, especially the characters of Kiba and Shino. They're very, very fun, and getting to see them as adults is just as great. Kiba in particular is just as great as he's always been, always sort of constantly full of himself and just always acting really goofy, but still incredibly super confident and having no doubts as opposed to Shino. I especially loved the scene where both Kiba and Shino end up going to that derelict city, which is filled with all of those ninja cats, and Kiba ends up meeting this really pretty girl who happens to be the master of this ninja cat who happens to talk, by the way. It's not the first time that we've seen them in the series, but I think it's really great that Kiba has become enamored with a girl who's actually mastered the use of cats. Cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria! But again, I do like this scene. It makes them seem even more human, especially Kiba, who's just a lot of fun in this episode. I really liked him in this one. There's also another little subplot about all of these kids that are looking up to Shino as he's trying to school them on what it means to be Hokage and not having doubts, blah, 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 blah. It's all just a big metaphor. But honestly, I really did like the episode. Just getting to spend these last moments with Shino and Kiba I thought was really fantastic. I, of course, would have liked a little bit of action, but just to spend some quality time with Shino is something that I really appreciate. Because, again, I think he's one of the most underplayed characters from the series, and I think he can be really funny at times. Mostly unintentionally so, and a lot of that has to do with his incredibly stoic personality, but he still manages to have that incredible badass allure, which he manages to keep throughout most of this episode, which on the production side of things just so happen to have some pretty damn good production value. I'm amazed that these last couple of episodes have just looked as good as they did, and there's still room for all this humor. I still think one of the funniest bits about these last couple of episodes is all of the scenes with Orochimaru just sort of constantly running around Konoha Village, talking about the ridiculous things like the grossness of Shino's bugs, the fact that Yamato is always right behind him, constantly watching him. I guess that's the stipulation, that Orochimaru is able to be free. It's just that Yamato is just going to be tailing him and watching him the entire time, which, in retrospect, man, Yamato got a raw deal. He's going to be following this Michael Jackson snake bastard all over the place for the rest of his life. That being said, I thought this was a very pleasant episode of Naruto Shippuden, which gets me very excited for the upcoming wedding, which I am actually very excited to see. It's probably something that was in one of the novels that I haven't read, and I know that they showed it in the credit scenes of Naruto the Last, and only just in a few still images. So this will be the perfect opportunity to finally see it in motion, and I have a feeling it is going to be very emotional, especially for a lot of people who have been watching this series for a long time and become attached to these characters and wanted to see Naruto and Hinata tie the knot. I know it's certainly going to be one hell of an experience, and I can't wait to experience it with you guys. That being said, I liked this episode. It wasn't perfect and not everyone's going to like it, but the fact that it focused on Shino and Kiba really made me one hell of a happy camper. And it had some great production value behind it, a little bit of a ham-fisted message, but still just getting to spend these final moments with these characters is really what makes it worth it. I'm going to give this episode right here a solid 4 out of 5. Check it out, Naruto fans. You might see something you like. If any of you did watch the episode, why don't you tell me what you thought about it in the comments section below. Did you like this episode? Did you not like this episode? Are you a fan of Kiba and Shino? What sort of gift would you get for Naruto and Hinata if you were attending the wedding? I think that's something that I would love to hear from you guys. And what do you hope to see from the last couple episodes of Naruto Shippuden? Please tell me in the comments section. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for all things Naruto related, as well as the upcoming Boruto series, which I definitely will be reviewing, along with the ongoing manga version. Also, please leave me a comment or two. I'd love to chat with you guys, and if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and like it and share it with your friends. I will see you guys next time, and as always, stay dandy, baby!